This is a little chat I wanted to have because I saw today on the Vega Plus website that apparently people are issuing small claims forms against RCL, and everything's being returned and not accepted at the address. And I just wanted to say that I think Levy, Martin and RCL have got away with this. They've got away with the Vega Plus, and nothing more is going to happen. Now, that's going to anger some members of the Spectrum community, some very angry members of the Spectrum community who were doing, many of them were doing good work in exposing RCL, but have now gone a little bit deranged, shall we say, in their rants and some of the accounts. In fact, I've had to block a few of them on my main account because they were just getting on my nerves because it was getting just completely out of hand. RCL is a limited company. That means the directors have limited liability unless they're proven to be negligent, and that's incredibly hard to do. Then if they've run out of money, you're not going to get anything out of them. Also, the small claims court is useless. They're really useless. Now, let me tell you a story about a number of years ago now. I was doing some work for a client and they basically refused to pay, saying they had no money. And this went on for a little while, so I decided to issue small claims proceedings against them. It took forever to get to you were required to do an arbitration hearing. So I went to that and he was there. In the arbitration hearing, the guy agreed to pay me with interest. After trying to have a bit of a rant and an argument, but the judge wasn't having any of it. It's not really a judge, it's a magistrate, isn't it? And he agreed to do it, and then he never paid. So then that was more delays. Then we had to go to the actual hearing. The guy didn't turn up. I got awarded everything and costs and everything else, and he still never paid that. I sent the bailiffs round to his company, which was registered to his house. Now, if you're running a limited company from your own home address, the bailiffs turn up. You don't have to let them in. You do not have to let them in. And this is critical in how toothless small claims are. You can basically, if you know what you're doing, which RCL will do, they know nothing's going to happen. Small claims can issue judgments in their absence, but by the time that's happened 6 months down the road, RCL has probably folded or just goes, hey, we've got no money. What are you going to do? You can send the bailiffs round. Nothing's going to happen. You can't take it. You can't send the bailiffs to the directors either because it's a limited liability company. If the company's registered to Levy's address, you can send them to his door, but if he doesn't let them in, then tough luck. And that's why nobody's going to get a refund on this, and it's just going to peter out. There may be people who think they can prove that directors of RCL were negligent, but it's just not going to happen. That's so hard to do. What are you going to say? How are you going to prove they intentionally, if you say they've intentionally taken all the money and spent it on themselves, how are you going to prove that? They're going to say, well, no, we were talking to manufacturers, we were spending money on this and that, and we needed photographs and what have you. And you explain this to a judge who's probably got no technical understanding. It's not going to happen. It just isn't. And keeping up the pressure, well, I can understand that, but Levy seems to have had history on this thing. He sounds like exactly the kind of guy that I had a run-in with. A guy who does wrong, but believes he's right, and everyone else is out to screw him. And he'd probably be ranting to his partner, his wife, his robot with the orifice, that he is right and all these people are out to get me. I can imagine now. I remember hearing the rants from the guy who owed money to me, how this was my fault. The fact I'd done work for him and then he'd sold the work and got paid for it, so I knew he'd got paid. He'd just squandered the money and other stuff, and suddenly this is my fault, this is my problem. And you get fobbed off. You start off with, I'll pay you the end of the month, and it just drags on and on, excuse after excuse after excuse. You start threatening him, he starts threatening you back. I'm going to do this to you, do that to you. It's the same pattern. And people issuing small claims against RCL, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money, you're wasting your effort. You've lost the money. That's not a legal opinion. That's just my opinion. And you are quite right to disagree with me on that. But I've been through the pain of the small claims court, the delays. Oh, how long it took for me issuing it in something like August or July and ending up in court, the local court in March, I think it was, or April even, and it just took forever because those guys got no money either. It's you go in one of those places, goodness me, that's depressing. Sitting in and wasting your time just going to I had to go to the arbitration hearing, that's half a day gone. Had to go to the actual hearing, that's another half a day gone. All the stress of doing that. It's not a nice place. There's some characters sitting in there with you, and they don't do those places up. It's not your local private hospital waiting room. It's not even your local GP surgery waiting room. It's the place I went to in Aldershot was horrible, and being searched on the way in by a woman I can only describe as being like the freak from Prisoner Cell Block H. Check you're not going to, commit any crime or stab someone or anything, because there's all sorts going on. It's not just kind of business people. There's people in there for all sorts of offences and things. So, do you want to do that? I'd think twice about it again. There's various things that could have been done earlier in the process, winding up orders and things issued. It's too late and it's too easy to evade. The advantages of running a limited company are, it's a separate entity. I've got a limited company myself, and that enables you to also, some bigger companies require that to work with you, which is what I had to do, because you start working in big companies to go, oh, you're a sole trader, are you? But people abuse the system. It happens all over. And this guy I had a run-in with, he had 5-6 companies with no money in them, with massive debts all owed to him. And it's going to be the same with RCL. They've worked the system, they've gamed it, whether intentionally or unintentionally. I'll leave that for you to decide. But, this continued hounding and chasing and complaining, and the Vega website is basically now publishing non-news with some, one of the news items I saw the other day was some puerile joke from Frankie Boyle, just translated to Suzanne Martin, which it was uncalled for. No matter what they've done, whatever you think they've done, it's uncalled for. And it was on some horrible, unprofessional podcast that went on for 5 hours. Goodness me. Speaking of which, this has gone on for 8 minutes now, and I think I've come to all the things I want to say, but yeah, I think we've got to get over this one, guys. It's gone as far as it has. They've got away with it. There's nothing any of you can do now, I'm afraid, aside from the internal battles, which must be costing a fortune between Andrews and Levy. And that's still rocking on. I'm not sure Andrews is going to get anything. What's he going to get? A shell company with a load of debts? Yeah, I'm afraid this one, guys, it's a dead duck. It's over. I think it's time to let go.